Welcome everybody to Electronic Talks episode 13. Today we have a very special guest. It's a director that has made some great short films such as Autumn Harvest, Sister Hell, Rosaline, and many more. Now he has a feature film coming out called Codename Nagasaki, which won the Grand Jury Prize for documentaries at Slamdance. So a warm welcome to Fredrik S. Hana. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. It is just trying to keep busy, stay creative, and I think that's the key. Also working a lot, trying to get Codename Nagasaki out in the world. And I'm also finishing up a new short film. So yeah, I'm keeping busy, and that makes me happy. So
that sounds great that you're keeping busy, and I'm seeing you're sitting in like a wonderful office there and with a lot of posters. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I just I've been working from home many years, and just like half a year ago, I got my own office, and then I got the opportunity just like get all my posters up on the wall because I've been collecting posters for many years. So yeah, it was finding nice to get the opportunity to make like a proper man cave with all my screens, and it's been really good. And also, because a lot of those posters are worth a lot, and they've been just like gathering dust in a crate somewhere. So it's been nice to just like see they're still in good condition.
Could you tell us a little bit about a couple of the titles you have up there beside you, just for fun?
I think maybe, I don't know if you can see the one that says Gumia,
yes.
Which is a Spanish poster of an Italian film called Anthropophagus, aka The Grim Reaper.
Okay, cool.
And it has like this image of this guy kneeling down on a beach with the sun down, and he's like eating his own intestines.
Oh my God.
And that's like an image that first time I saw that many years ago, I couldn't stop thinking about this image. It was just so gruesome, but also as a poster, wonderfully painted. And I tracked it down the Spanish version of it, and I really got it framed.
Lovely.
I also have the Turkish Bring Me the Head of Fredrik S one, and I think we need to do it like in a complete different episode of my poster collection. That would be nice.
A poster walkthrough, kind of.
Yeah.
No, but that kind of brings us into the kind of filmmaking that is in your origin, and years ago, maybe the first time we met as well. Like you've been deeply invested in genre cinema, you could say, for a long time. And now you're heading into kind of another territory as well. But could you tell me a little bit about kind of your entry point into filmmaking and also the genre and kind of horror films that you've been doing?
Yeah. When I was growing up, my parents were quite like strict when it came to like what films I could see and not. And I couldn't see movies that were rated 15 until I turned 15. It's like there were no room for me to discuss even the terms, and especially like the 18 rated movies and the horror movies, they became almost like mythical for me. It's like, oh, fuck, am I ever gonna be old enough to see those films?
Yeah.
And just walking in those video rental shops in the horror section, and just like looking at those covers, which totally like engaged my own imagination. It's like, I wonder what kind of movie this is, just with the images, it seemed so scary, but also almost like so abstract to me.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of just like kickstarted my not only my interest for genre films, but also that kind of active imagination, maybe. Of course, when I got older and actually saw some of these films that I've been like thinking about for like 10 years, it was always like a bummer. It's like, okay, the version that I had in my head was much more like fantastic, and
yeah.
And So it kind of began like just wanting to make something that touched upon those kind of ideas that I had when I was young, but also trying to like flip the genre a bit upside down, and maybe infusing a bit other emotions in it, and you just try to make it personal, I guess. But it's definitely something that's been with me for a long time. That fascination with that genre, and it kind of goes beyond just like the darkness aspect of it. It doesn't. It's just like the tools that are being used, like the illusions, the practical effects, and the things that are kept in the shadows, and the mystery. Yeah, maybe just the mystery and the wonder is what really gets me going, I guess.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, I think, and it's something I don't think you see so much, especially for films made in the Nordic area. There's not so many people excelling in that. When you kind of got into that in the start, did you go to film school, or did you just do it by yourself?
I had 2 years of film school in Stavanger, and I was planning to do the third year and get the bachelor, and I was lucky enough to get offered some work as the director's assistant on a feature film, and I just started working right away. Wow. And also just I met some people that turned out to be very important people in my creative life that I still work with.
Yeah.
And we established this kind of a collective of different people. Like I was the director, and I had a photographer, and a gaffer, and a special effects guy, and a sound guy, and we just most of them are still kind of in my lifestyle, and we just started producing stuff, and just and it was purely out, what do we want to see, and we all had that kind of love for fantastic cinema, and we also had that love for just thinking big, have big ambitions, even though we didn't really have any money, and just being very creative of how to just pure do it yourself energy.
Wow. So with this DIY energy, the collective must have been very important, right?
Yeah. There was definitely more film school than my actual film school, because just this attitude that was just let's not think too much about it. Let's just go out and shoot and try it out, and if it doesn't work, let's shoot it again.
Yes.
Not spending so much time of just with the theory behind it, or just thinking about it, just going out there and just shooting and understanding why it works and why it doesn't work. And there were some short films we made. We spent fucking 2 years making some of these short films, and just patiently waiting for the right moment to do that shot. And yeah, I think that was definitely those first 2 years with these people were definitely a very important time in my life.
Yes. And you've done a bunch of short films, some of which we already mentioned, like Autumn Harvest, ANGST PISS DRIDD, and Sister Hell. Was there one of them that you felt was kind of a big breakthrough moment for you, where you felt you were kind of hitting the right tone or getting to where you wanted to be as a filmmaker?
Before the podcast, I sort of like to try to warm up my brain of travel a bit back in time, because when I realized that you were asking me for links for my older stuff, I was like, holy shit, we're gonna talk about that. Okay. So I just thought about one moment in film school when I made, I can't remember what film I made, but my film teacher said you have the opportunity to tell something about humanity or something like that. And I, at that point, was I don't want to tell shit, I was a pure, I don't give a shit attitude. And because I was a fucking kid, I just wanted to learn the craft of filmmaking.
Yeah.
But when I made like ANGST PISS Shit, is like that was like the first time that I didn't necessarily think about saying something with the film, but that was the first time that my sort of specific sort of state of mind was something that fueled the film, and I realized that these like crazy genre films can, at least for me, feel something that is very personal and without being, without actually knowing what I actually tried to say with that film. But it was something. It just felt very personal to me, that film. And that was the kind of the first time that I kind of realized that, okay, it doesn't need to be, genre doesn't need to be about distancing yourself from something. It's just a way to sort of creatively just like deal with something, and that's what the Codename Nagasaki is kind of also about. And that was like a moment of I didn't really realize it until that film was like doing its festival rounds, and I just saw it after for the first time after a while. Just realized that, oh shit, this actually felt quite personal. I'm probably the only one that of course felt that, but that was just like a big moment for me, basically.
No, but I think especially, ANGST PISS DRIDD with all the cannibalistic elements and other things, like this strong emotional energy, it definitely hits home. We'll make sure for everyone that listens that we'll put some links to everything that is available when it comes to these short films and other things as well. And maybe we can move on and talk a little bit about your new feature, Codename Nagasaki, which is a documentary film, but with kind of hybrid elements, definitely. That kind of where you really see kind of that you are the filmmaker. There's this specific kind of fictionalized aspects of it. And you also have one of your friends as the main characters, Marius, correct?
Yeah.
And could you tell us about the origin of coming up with the idea to actually do this as a film? How did this come up in discussion between you guys?
So Marius is also like a very sort of important person in my life when it comes to that really helped me and challenged me creatively from very early on. So we started working together in like 2008, 2007, 2008 maybe. So we've been working together for over 10 years. And he's been like my actor, he's been my producer, he's been my special effects guy. And I called him in an interview, I called him for my like a Swiss Army knife. And that is what he truly is.
Yeah.
He's like, he has like this almost, he has this ability to just like try new different stuff and just like deliver in a way that's just so inspiring. And the intensity of his work is super inspiring. And he's been allowing for working on all of my films almost.
Yeah.
And I've never had any thoughts about doing documentary prior to this. My films are kind of like the opposite of, I like to sort of create like stylistic worlds with their own rules. And but the thing about Marius, I didn't know a lot about his mother before doing this, but I know that there was something there that was maybe a bit painful to him to talk about. And over the years, we did like talk about maybe like making this documentary where he's gonna find his mother, almost like jokingly, after a few beers. But for each time we talked about it, we kind of stayed in that brainstorming phase longer and longer, and just like, okay, what could the film be if we made it? And that was also my first sort of sorry, flying around.
No
worries. The first kind of the first time he told me about his mother, and he hasn't seen her for like over 20 years, and that was the first time that I realized that, oh shit, this is something that he's really thinking a lot about. And then we just like decided to let's just see what happens if we just write like a one-page treatment and see how it feels to creatively treat something that's so personal.
Yeah.
If it feels wrong, just let's not do it. But when we started writing it, that energy, that sweet ass creative energy, like this. What about this? What about this? And like, when we had this feeling that this might be the best idea, but also the worst idea, because we didn't really know that if she was alive at this point,
Mm-hmm.
So there was like this appeal of just like, oh, this can also be like creatively something that is, I don't know what it's going to be, but that's exciting. But also this opportunity to join Marius on this quest as his friend, because he's always like been there for me, like on my films, and always like over delivered and always worked the hardest. So
Yeah.
to get the opportunity to, if me just being there or me helping to create some kind of creative project helps him on his way, that's something that I just wanted to do. So we wrote that treatment. We applied for some development funding. We got a little bit, and we just like started shooting and started editing right away, and then shooting, editing, and then we were on our way. And then 4.5 years later, here we are.
That's so inspiring, man. Let's have a little look at the trailer while we speak about the film, because I think truly it's different from a lot of other documentaries in the terms of the, what could you call, the look of it and the storytelling of it. And could you tell us a little bit how you were thinking? I mean, this has been a process for 4.5 years, but you added these, as we see now, like this little kind of monster element to it, or these kind of scenes with a katana, like he's posing like a samurai, things like this. Could you tell us about your thought about the visual aesthetics of the film?
I mean, in the beginning, it was like we knew that we wanted to bring that kind of filmmaking energy into the documentary. We didn't exactly know what kind of function it would have necessarily.
Yeah.
But I needed to just to start, the project with him on the beach with a sword, and just like, just to open up the conversation in a way. But these fiction scenes were something that we also constructed almost like real time while we were in the situation we're in. I mean, of course, I kind of went back and did some reshoots for aesthetic reasons, but we tried to sort of stay true to the sort of real-time story, because some of these characters are kind of born out of anxiety that Marius and I felt at that moment.
Yeah.
But I mean, aesthetically, I think it was important to me to start out with characters that were a bit broad, just in terms of communicating the experiment to an audience, and not be too sort of clever with references and stuff. But also, I mean, to be honest, like in the beginning, I was a bit scared. Like, I don't want this to be about distancing myself from reality. I don't want this to be about only aesthetics but when things started to move forward, these characters sort of claim more and more sort of meaning, and then it just like got elevated to a completely different level. But there was something that it was just so, everything was so step by step, which was so painful in one way, because there were so many years of just like insecurities. How the hell is this going to work? Because there was also a thing that was so new to me. I never made a documentary before, and even though we're lucky to have possibilities to get funding for this kind of project, people were quite like skeptical, I think, when they heard I was going to mix fiction and documentary, because they thought it was all about like we're too cool for real life. It was all about making fun of real life or distancing myself from real life, and just like as you probably know, it's like when you're in the first, like in the very beginning of development, it's quite a fragile phase, because you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're just trying to experimenting, And even in that phase, we just had to like answer like notes from different people. It's like, okay, what does this mean? It's like, I don't know what it means, but it just feels right. It feels like the right way. But then suddenly it's just like the structure kind of showed itself, and we understood how we could use these characters. And when we did take the trip to Japan, it's like, okay, we got to bring the whole, character gallery with us, and see what happens.
Yeah.
So it's like there was so much to be a movie that has so much like obviously constructed elements. It was very spontaneous, everything. Because pre-production and production and editing was something that happened simultaneously and sort of like feeded off each other in a way. I forgot your question, but I just rambled for.
No, but that's super interesting. And I feel like this whole thing, I mean, even if it has fictionalized element, it does feel very realistic, because actually you're in the documentary as well. You're there with your friend. You're doing this journey together of trying to find his mother that is in Japan, and he doesn't know anything about her. How was it actually going to Japan and shooting there? How was that experience doing that together, as you say, with the team?
Like creatively, it was probably like a high point for me.
Yeah.
Because even though I love Stavanger, but trying to shoot, like stylistic movies here, you gotta like turn some rocks to find like those perfect locations.
Yeah.
So to go to a place like Tokyo, that like everything just like holy shit, everything looks like like a Takeshi Kitano movie, and everything just gives you opportunities at all time. And because there's a character that sort of pops up in Tokyo, that's like a new character that kind of symbolizes like the what if scenario if Marius grew up in Japan instead of Norway. And that was something that we didn't. That was something that just got created in Tokyo, that we wrote in Tokyo, and that we shot it the day afterwards. So everything was just so created almost on the fly. And to be able to like on Monday have this great idea, and then on Tuesday just realize that idea, and then edit it on Wednesday, and then while you're doing this, you're kind of on the way to another place in Japan. But also the thing that was kind of looming over us was like, there was like almost like a timer that, okay, in 10 days, Marius is going to go knocking on her door, and at this point anything can happen.
Yeah.
So it was a bit weird to have. I felt that I was there as Marius's friend, but I was also there as a filmmaker trying to make a film. And there were moments that I wish I could only be like his friend and give him space. But then there was like like the little guy here saying like, hey, but what about the payoff?
Yeah.
So that was something that I'm still kind of conflicted to do more documentaries, because I don't like being in that position. It was so weird to me. Yeah. And I also saw that for Marius also at the days leading up to like the moment where anything. I mean the day before the meeting.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily the most fun of days, but yeah, what a experience it's been, man. Jesus.
Yeah. And also the experience of you now putting it out there to the world and showing the film at festivals and so on. As I mentioned in the introduction, you got the Grand Jury Award at Slamdance. That was a couple of weeks ago, maybe. How did that feel?
I mean, the one thing is like it's an award ceremony without an audience, which is like
that's a little bit weird, of course.
It's a weird thing. Yeah. There's no applause.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
So you just like, I mean, Slamdance was I think they organized like the digital version of the festival really well and all that stuff. But there was the award ceremony was quite funny because it was because of the time zone. It was really late. It was like 1 o'clock, and I was like way past my bedtime.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like trying not to fall asleep, so I had this, Amazon.com basket and trying to maybe buy some Blu-rays to keep me awake.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly just hear, the name of the film, and holy shit, how do I log into this Zoom thing, and I just like panically like mumbled some kind of a thank you speech, and I called Marius, which he was awake, and yeah, I mean, it felt really good because with this film, it's been so much new stuff for me, and I've been so insecure, and it's been so, even though it's been a wonderful thing to make, it's also been quite painful because it's been so scary, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
It's like we went so like hard with we're gonna do this kind of fiction, and but just the feeling that my film just communicates to an international audience. I mean, if they don't like it or like it, I think that's fine. But just like that, we communicate all those ideas, and people get it. That felt. I gotta be honest. That felt really, really good. Yeah.
And what is your plan for the film in the future, in the coming year, at the moment?
I mean, now we're gonna try just to surf festivals for maybe a year, and then we're working on some distribution deals. But yeah, things are quite open at the moment. But also, I mean, there's so much insecurity going on. If we talked a little bit about it before we recorded, like how our independent film is going to be distributed.
Yes.
Also with this film, which is it's not a film for documentary purists, I think. So I'm just curious, like when we do like lock a distribution deal, is it going to be like on the documentary like side of the scale, or is it going to be the more genre side? I'm not sure, because now it's been accepted to both like the pure like documentary film festivals, but also like the genre film festivals. So it's interesting that it's a film that kind of works in both ways.
That is great. Yeah. No, but I definitely think like there's this kind of broad humanity within the film that could connect to both those audiences. I mean, it's for an instance, like I don't cry often with films, but I did it with this one. So I do think it kind of hits a strand, especially if you have kind of a personal experience that could relate to that. So I think it could go either way, like you say, definitely, both genre or documentary. And
that's the thing that's I've been enjoying a lot. Is like people, especially that know me, that they've heard that I made a documentary. There are some people that really aren't prepared how what's the word, how sincere it gets.
Yeah.
That was something that was important to me also, because it's like me and Marius, when we talk, there's a lot of humor in the way we talk. There's a lot of irony, but the core is always like sincerity, So I'm glad also that kind of shines through in the film.
Yeah, it definitely does. And you mentioned you're also working on a new short film. Is that correct? Maybe that's under wraps, or?
No, I mean, we're almost done with the shooting, and I think I started shooting this for almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
So this one is, I've always kind of been like fascinated by like found footage films, even though like there's so much crap also in that subgenre. But I still think the Blair Witch Project is probably one of the scariest films ever.
Yeah.
And I really like the aesthetic challenge of creating something that is totally staged and fake, but also from like a quasi realistic documentary perspective.
Yeah.
But I really like what's leading up to it. I don't like the hey Sharon, it's a new camera, stop filming me. I don't like that shit. But I like these moments of just like pure voyeurism and just like that sense of wonder and sort of alien that it gives me is something that I wanted to explore. So it's kind of like a mixtape, structured like version of that feeling. You know, I keep thinking about when I was little and I watched like Discovery Channel and I saw that Bigfoot clip, and it just like it freaked me out because the world was such a the world was still a very mysterious place, you know, like watching that Loch Ness pictures, like holy shit, it's like I wanted to create something that sort of took me back to that kind of feeling of wonder. But it's also been a film that's like I have no script at all. I just like got some development funding, started shooting, editing, and I just like applied by using, you know, the edit instead of writing a script, basically. So it's like it's something that I pitched as a pure experiment, but it's been growing, you know, for like each year, and now we just like we just have like a couple more scenes to go, and then we're gonna do post-production, and it's gonna be done this summer.
Oh, that's super exciting.
And yeah, but it's also quite inspired by Korea Nagasaki's kind of like hybrid feel. So this is also a film that I've been shooting with a bunch of different cameras and experimenting with a lot of different sort of aesthetics. Because in this short film, there's also a lot of like kind of like fake stock footage that seems like, you know, it's like 70 years old. Something is like a bit newer, and something that feels like it's sourced from like a TV channel. That's it's been a quite a fun thing to make, but it's gonna be quite different compared to Nagasaki. This is really my return to full blown genre. So it's good to be back.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people are waiting for that as well.
Yeah,
and we were talking a little bit about your love for posters before, and I do think like the poster art for Codename Nagasaki is just amazing. Like the colors, the graphic design, everything. How did you come up with that, and who did that with you?
I'm really glad that you asked me that, because the guy who did the posters is Torgo Svindland, and he has his office is just next to mine. And the posters are initially are like charcoal drawings, and we're actually right now we're making like the silk screen version of the posters. So like in a few weeks' time, they will be like very limitedly available, but available for sale. And they are like
great.
Physically they look insane. But
I can only imagine, because they're so bright colors. You know, the colors are so amazing.
I mean that gradient color you've seen, like the digital version. Like wait until you see that gradient made by actual like paint. It's I'm gonna send you just like a photo of where we're at the moment, but it's gonna look so tremendous. But the guy who did the poster, Torgo, he also did the poster for Autumn Harvest, which also was like a charcoal drawing.
Yes.
And he's also gonna do the poster from my next film. And I really love that part of making films. I love the conversation about posters. I love collecting posters. And it's just, you know, I get so sad when I see people don't, you know, pay attention to how important it is with a good poster, because it is sometimes at the first meeting you have with a film.
Yes.
Of course, there's been like some kind of like a poster art renaissance now with the Mondo and the focus on silk screen posters and all that.
Yeah.
But me and Torga, we've been we talk a lot about that kind of stuff, and he has. What we did with the Koen Nagasaki is like I just wanted to show him the film, and if he responded like if he liked it, I would ask him about the poster, and I sent him it, and he was like, whoa, he was really blown away. I was like, do you want to make a poster for it? And I'm okay, I think we need to make 2 posters. And then just like the day afterwards, he just gave me like a very rough digital sketch of what's that's super similar to what it became. So I really trust like his instinct is really unique, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of poster that works when you see it really small.
Yes.
And it's also up close. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very clear that you paid close attention to that. And I kind of agree with you too that, you know, even if you would think that today in like a digital landscape, the poster wouldn't have the same role, I do think it has that function of inviting someone into the world and also kind of explaining the whole film in one picture somehow, which you cannot do in any other way.
Absolutely.
One other thing we could mention is, I mean, you love Japanese films, and I would love to hear kind of what your favorite filmmakers are and what kind of Japanese films might have inspired you.
I think
you don't have to mention everything, just a few.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Tsukamoto definitely number one.
Yeah.
Number one. Tetsuo Iron Man is it's probably my favorite movie of all time.
That is a masterpiece, man. That film is so good.
When I saw that film the first time, like I've never seen editing done like that before. I never seen that blend of stop motion before. I never seen a movie scream up my face like that before.
Yeah.
And still, when I see that film again, it's like, holy shit! It's like, oh my god, this is, it's so great. And of course, you know, Takashi Miike is when he was in his his best fucking phase. I mean, now he's like, I think maybe Sion Sono has like taken the throne of Takashi Miike in terms of just like insanity and productivity.
Yeah.
But you know, Ichi the Killer was like a super important film for me because I remember when that film came out. It's like I had just got my first kind of like a Visa card, and I like ordered it from Hong Kong. This DVD that was like, it was cut by 20 minutes of like violence and plot was out. Even with 20 minutes missing, that shit like blew my head off. You know.
Yeah.
And that film,
Killer is also like such a stunner.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's so well written, I think, in terms of characters, and it's so wild, but also quite patient with characters, and it's so over the top, perverse, and it's a real jaw dropper, that film.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, you can't not talk about Takeshi Kitano, of course.
Of course.
And also Sugu Ishii with the Burst City. I mean, talking about like do-it-yourself energy, it's so much great stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I had such a hard time going in movie stores in Tokyo. So I actually was so thankful that most of it wasn't, subtitled in English, because I would have a hard time to like ruin myself like financially,
Yeah.
Holy man.
And there's always more to explore. Like each decade you can go into, whether it's the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Like there's so much like hidden under the surface of those bigger names and the people they worked with. So I totally agree. Like you can start going in with Burst City by Sogo Ishii, and then you start looking at all these Japanese punk bands and all of that movement and that whole movement of filmmaking that was going on at that time.
Yeah, there's so much. It's almost like I almost get like like a bit like psyched out how much good stuff there is.
Yeah.
That is one thing that has been really like growing aggressively during this pandemic. Is like I've always had a love for like physical media and Blu-rays, and give me an embossed slipcover and I'll give you money. But during this pandemic, I've been buying so much Blu-rays, man. And then with Third Window Films that exclusively like give out like Asian or only Japanese movies.
Yeah.
And it's been stacking, and I'm so far behind of actually seeing them. But under this obsession of just like buying has been really growing in the last year.
No, but that's understandable. I mean, the cinemas are closed, and where are you gonna get those experiences? There's you can't really go to festivals even if they're available digitally. It's another thing. So I can totally understand that. I think.
So just curious, what's your like top 3 Japanese directors?
Oh, that's really hard. But Kitano was very important for me. I like Kiyoshi Kurosawa as well, of course.
Of course.
But one influence for me was also like the early films of Seijun Suzuki, you know, like Tokyo Drifter, Branded to Kill, and Tattooed Life. All of those. If we want to go back a little bit further. And then there's almost like just liking the films of Takashi Miike is like you can like a period. You know, there's so many. I think he's past 100 by now. I would think that
his shit in the early 2000s when he made like, you know, Age of the Killer and Visit to Q, which is like this amazing film that was made for like $7,000, shot on mini DV. That I just had a revisit with Dead or Alive as well, which I thought was fucking tremendous. Tremendous film.
The Dead or Alive.
Yeah.
That trilogy is crazy. A lot of fun as well. No, I just think it's kind of fun to get into this stuff because I do think also if you appreciate that, I think you can also appreciate a lot of your work as well in your short films, just like Sister Hell, for an instance, which takes things to the edge and into a very both gory and scary and funny territory, you know. Maybe we can end a little bit on that note, and you could tell us just a little bit about the experience with Sister Hell, because I know that's a short that many people love.
I mean, Sister Hell was something that was kind of inspired by being at Fantastic Fest, and I was there with Autumn Harvest, and you know, before screening the films at Fantastic Fest, they just show like tons of clips of just like weird shit. And there was something about being at the festival and being bombarded with so many images and so many crazy movies. Like, I kind of want to make a film that has that kind of energy, because Autumn Harvest is much like a slow paced, you know, a film. But I kind of want to next film. I kind of want to do like the opposite, and we started just like, you know, throwing ideas around where we were at that festival. And then when I came home, I watched this like documentary about black market butt injections that immediately made an impact. And I was thinking about body modification, and I was thinking about people who really yearn about these modifications, even though they know they're doing something that is extremely harmful for the body, and the chances they take of like getting a results that feels right. And I wanted to do something that kind of like more honored that than actually made fun of it. Because, you know, making fun of these kind of choices is something that, you know, everybody can do, but I wanted to make something that is about, you know, the whatever makes sense for you doesn't need to make sense for anyone else, you know. And I also wanted to make something that was like, you know, reminiscent of like the nunsploitation kind of subgenre, and Can Wrestle the Devils, and all these things just like mashed into this project. And that was quite like a very fun but super stressing film to make, because there were so many practical effects, and there was a lot of actors, but a lot of people that I haven't worked with yet, and they haven't worked with me. So there was a lot of just like challenges of getting people to trust me, even though like being on that set, it's like you would feel that I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. You know, if you have never been like on a that kind of crazy set before. No, but that's I haven't seen that film since that Fantastic Fest premiere. But
wow, yeah,
that was a film that did really well on the festivals, and they won a bunch of awards, and
No, I strongly advise anyone here who's interested to we'll try to link all the available short films here directly so that people can access them, and we will always also update the links as soon as there's some way to see codename Nagasaki as well, and it gets distribution and so on. I think that's about the time we have for today, my friend. And I want to thank you so much for being available to talk about your new project.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, man. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you too, man. Let's catch up soon again.
Yes, let's do it.
And good luck finishing the short as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right.
And that was it for Electronic Talks episode 13 with Fredrik S. Hana. We'll be back again next week. So thanks for tuning in and see you soon again.